Morning, everyone. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Good, good. I always love coming for sessions like this, looking at the audience and seeing the enthusiasm and passion that each and every one of you have. I think one thing that you have to remember is each and every one of you here today has the potential to be the future business leader of the world. And the fact that you come for sessions like this, you pick up skill sets, you pick up knowledge, I think that helps a lot. No? So just a very quick introduction about my company. My company is a co-working space business. Essentially what we do is we go into properties, we essentially see how we can optimize it and share it among our community members. And in that sense, we help to make it more efficient for our members to utilize the properties. But I think more than that is the connectivity. And the connectivity across different members is something that we value a lot. So I think those are the two big things that we offer to our members. Today we run 22 locations across two different cities, Jakarta and Medan. We are going to other new cities as well within Indonesia, Yogyakarta, Makassar, and Bali. And what we want to do is as we open up these locations, we want to be able to connect our members across the different cities to one another. So I wanted to actually also share a bit more about how we as a co-working space could help in urban development in a more sustainable manner. So there are three things that I'd like to share. The first is efficiencies. When one of our landlords, Cinemas Land, was opening a new location in BSD, we were actually one of the first few tenants that they invited to run the co-working space business there. And the reason is this, because with co-working space, you can actually reduce the amount of footprint that you need within a particular area by upwards of 60%. So within Cinemas itself, it's one of the very few complex, the BSD Breeze complex is one of the very few complex that has a ratio of 60% greenery to 40% offices. Most buildings, most complexes, most compounds are the other way around. Maybe 70, 80% are concrete versus like 20% which are greenery. And the way we do this is through a few things. One is essentially efficiency in terms of the way we design our space out. The meeting rooms are all shared. The board rooms are all shared. The event space are all shared. The pantries are shared. So there isn't a need to actually replicate and redo a lot of the facilities that you have in each of the offices. And one of the things that we are starting to go forward is to actually advise property developers that, hey, you can actually reduce the amount of square meters built, but offer the common facilities that we have as an additional service to your tenants. So I think that's something that's really powerful in terms of reducing the amount of environmental impact. And it helps a lot in terms of urban planning too. Because now when urban planners think about cities, there isn't actually a real need to think too much about putting too many offices within a particular area. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing that is interesting is connectivity. Connectivity is something that we value a lot. Imagine, how many of you here stay within apartments? Maybe a quick show of hands. Staying in apartments? No. How many of you work in offices? No. So I think what is interesting is this. One of the things is as we go into different cities, as we move and migrate from outside suburban areas into urban centers, one of the things that you'll start to experience is that you find that sometimes you're a bit alone in the crowd. Like, it's a bit strange. Like I walk into some of the offices. Offices has like 5,000, 6,000 people within the building. But sometimes I feel like I'm a stranger there. And it's a strange thing. You are a stranger among a big crowd of people, and you don't know anyone. And I think like the ride-sharing companies tried to do this, right? Carpooling. So they tried to do this using technology for carpooling, but even then it's not very popular. Why? Because we feel like we are strangers. And actually that's one of the big problems that we face when we go through urbanization. I think like I myself, in my previous roles, I tend to stay among communities where I know everyone. But when I move to city centers and work in business centers, typically I feel like I'm a stranger. And actually that's not very good when it comes to a good working environment. So one of the things that we want to make sure within the co-working space itself is that we actively bring people to one another. If you are working in a company that might be 5 to 10%, it doesn't matter. We'll bring you together and you get to meet one another. And in that sense, it actually helps in your productivity. It helps in actually your sociological goodness. So I think that's the second thing that we as co-working space want to be able to provide. The whole connectivity to one another as you come into the urban centers. Third, I think the third and the last, but the most important point is access. As we move into urban centers, typically it gets more and more unaffordable. It gets more and more expensive. A lot of your income is eaten up by either renter or eaten up by trying to pay a mortgage. You take on a loan to buy a piece of property. What we want to do is to make sure that through the way we design out our space, through the way we concept and think about efficiencies, we can actually make housing, we can make offices more affordable for each and every one of you. And in that sense, when you move into a city center, you can have access to good facilities, you can have access to a good set of community, but I think more importantly, at very affordable pricing. So that is something that we want to be able to change. And my view is that as we move on as a society, move forward as a society, co-working spaces and co-living spaces will be very important anchor facilities in each and every one of the city centers. So I think with that, I probably want to leave it to the next speaker to Q&A sessions. But I think it's something that's very experiential. I mean, I would love to actually invite the audience here to check out one of our locations and to experience it for yourself. What is it like to work within a co-working space? And what is it like to actually get a feel, right, of the different people that comes within a co-working space itself. So we do organize a series of events every given month, maybe upwards of 60 events in any month. I'd love to actually invite you to come over and see what our events are like. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and look forward to seeing you. Thank you.